everybody, I am here today and I am talking about adoption. So a couple of weeks ago on my Instagram stories, I posted my 23andMe results because I was really excited because I am adopted on my dad's side. Those of you that are like, well, you look so much like your mom. Yes, my mom is my biological mom, the mom that you see in all my posts. Did give birth to me. I came out of her body, but my father adopted me. So I have a biological dad and then a dad that I call dad. So firstly, I wanted to share my 23andMe results because I thought it was really interesting. This is not a sponsored video. I just think that this is just really interesting. So Jimmy did his at the same time and he was 99.2% white as basically he was like English, Irish, Scottish, Scandinavian, like pretty much any region that you're super pale was him. So his whole little pie chart was like blue. So I got mine back and I don't have the results right in front of me right now, but I'm gonna try to remember from memory. I am like 60% mix of like English, Irish, Scottish. I think there's some Scandinavian in there. But then I am also Spanish, Portuguese, which I thought was really cool. I think I'm like 8% or maybe 10% that. I'm also 15% East Asian, Native American. I think they lumped that all in together. So basically like Middle Eastern and then Native American. They don't specify further into Native American, but the little part of the map that highlighted for me was the Mexico area. So I assume that I'm like Native Mexican American. So I don't know if that means I'm like Aztec. I don't know how far back it goes, but I thought that was super cool. I'm also 2% African, which I thought was also really cool. So I've always known that I had a mix of ethnicities in me just because of my complexion versus my hair. I have really dark, coarse hair. I do have pale skin to your eyes right now because I don't like to tan because I don't want to get skin cancer. But when I do tan, I actually get really dark. My skin gets really dark, so I'm not actually naturally fair skinned. I do have freckles, but I get dark and freckly. That being said, let me tell you about my adoption story. So when I was about 11, I think 11 or 12, my parents sat me down and my mom started out by saying that there's more to a father than just sperm, which I was like, and then she basically told me that my biological father was not the man that had raised me. My mom was 16 and my biological father was 15 when my mom got pregnant. And they were really young. They were not actually even dating. It was just like a young mistake that happens to young people. How many times can I say young in one sentence? So my mom decided to keep me. Thanks, Mom. Way to go. And my biological father was just kind of too young, I assume, really, to stay in the picture. And my mom had a good opportunity to move. So I was born in Southern California. My mom had a good opportunity to move with her dad, who lived in Oregon, and have some help to raise me. So she moved there when I was about 9 months old. So my biological father did see me when I was born. I think he maybe saw me once or twice. And his mom knew about me. And his mom actually wanted to adopt me, but my mom said no. And she took the burden of this child on herself. So Mom moved to Oregon, met the dad that raised me 2 years later. They got married, he adopted me, and then until I was 11, I had no idea that he wasn't my real father. So once my parents told me, it was like definitely that moment of like, you know, like in the movies when you watch where people are going like on a bad drug trip and all their visions, like it was like that, where it's like everything I thought in my life is not my life, and I would look in the mirror and like my face isn't my face anymore. It was just like, it's really hard to explain. I'm sure those of you that are adopted and found out later in life understand. It's a really, really strange feeling. So my mom, when I was like 15 or 16, she told me, if you want to find, his name was Daryl. His name is Daryl. If you want to find Daryl, I will help you. But keep in mind that this was before the age of internet. Internet did not really exist beyond like AOL Instant Messenger. So it wasn't as easy as just like Googling. There was no Google yet. So at that time I was like, no, Dad's my dad and I'm cool. I don't really need to know. And I just kind of like went on like that. I definitely always felt a feeling of like being abandoned, like what was wrong with me? Like, why wouldn't he want to find me? It was a lot of feelings of like just sadness, definitely created some daddy issues. But for the most part, I coped pretty well with it. So when I was in I was diagnosed with a heart condition in my early 20s. And when I was going through all my health stuff and surgeries and everything, every time I would go to the doctor, there'd be the health forms to fill out that said mother information, father information. And on my father's side, I never knew. There was nothing I could enter there. I didn't know the history. I didn't know anything. So I started thinking more and more about trying to find him. And then when I was 26, I actually was in the city I was born in, and I drove by the hospital I was born in, and I just felt this pull of like, I think it's time just to like find out who I am. So I told my mom and I told my dad that I was gonna search for Daryl, but all my mom knew was his last name, about how old he was, and what hospital, what high school he went to. That was really all she knew about him. So at first I Googled him, nothing. Then I tried to Facebook him, nothing. Then I went on classmates.com since I knew the high school he went to and about the year he would have graduated, and I entered in the information, and this man came up that the name matched, the age matched, the high school matched. So I took a screenshot, I sent it to my mom, and I was like, do you think this is him? And she called me back instantly and was like, his face is different, he's older, but like that's him. Those are his eyes. So, and this was within 2 days of trying to find him. So I sent him a message through Classmates, and it was very like, I know you know who I am. I'm not trying to be part of your life. I'm not trying to make waves. I don't know if you have a new family or if they know about me. I really just want to know my health history and a little bit about, my ancestral background. I was like, I know your mom knows about me, so if you could maybe just give her information. Like, I'm not trying to have a relationship with you. I was just trying to really baby step it because I didn't want to freak him out or make him feel uncomfortable or make him feel like I wanted or needed anything from him. So the next day I wake up to my mom calling me crying, and she was like, get on your Classmates profile. So I get on it, and he had immediately left me a message and was like, oh my God, Cherokee, I've been searching for you my whole life, or your whole life. I guess I wasn't alive his whole life. I'm so happy. I really want to talk to you. I really want to meet you. My whole family knows about you. I carry a picture of you in my wallet still. It was just like Oprah ending, like just crazy. So within an hour, we were talking on the phone. We talked on the phone for probably about an hour. He just told me about his family, and I told him about mine. I told him about my heart stuff. We went over just some basic health things. He told me that a few of his siblings had died, but from non-heart related things. Told me about his mom and my cousins, and I mean, in this time, I already had cousins added me on Facebook. He was telling all of his family. So basically what happened was, when my mom moved to Portland, they fell out of touch, and then he had some legal problems. So he was kind of out of the mainstream for a few years. And then when he came back, he wanted to find me, but my mom had already changed her last name. All there were back then were yellow pages, so there wasn't internet to try to find me, and he had nothing to go by. So he kind of just gave up and hoped that I was good and kept my little baby picture in his wallet. And 26 years later, there I was messaging him on Classmates. So after this, I was like, oh my God, I want to meet him and all this. And I came home, and my ex at the time was like, maybe you should sleep on it and think about it, because essentially he is a stranger and this is a really big change in your life. So I was like, okay. So I gave it a week, and then I realized that I didn't want to go up there and meet all the family all at once. I thought it would be really overwhelming. So I talked to his mom through Facebook, and it was strange because she remembered me, and to me, I was her granddaughter. So it was very much I love you, and all of that. But to me, she was a stranger. So it was hard for me to feel that connection. I was curious and I was interested, but I didn't have that instant oh my God, I love all these people. It was oh my God, we share the same blood, and this is really weird Twilight Zone. So I think it was maybe 3 months later, he came into town. He lived in the Bay Area. I'm talking about him he's not alive. He is still alive. He came down and we met. He brought his girlfriend, and I brought my ex at the time, and we had dinner, and we just sat across from each other, and we just we were talking, but we were just staring at each other, just looking at each other's features. I was trying to see myself in him. He's very handsome, very tall. He's very broadly built. I mean, he looks like he could play football. He's got big hands and big sausage fingers. I didn't really see any of myself in him. I definitely look like my mom, but he was very nice. He had recently gotten sober. He was in AA. He definitely had some struggles in his life, and he said that it was probably for the best that he wasn't in my life during those times. So I am actually grateful. But he is a very nice man. He's not a serial killer. We kept in touch. He sent me a birthday present here and there. He actually came to my wedding, which was really nice. And my mom got to see him for the first time in, I don't know however many years it had been. It was probably almost 30 years by that time. I think it was over 30 years by that time. So it was really funny. He is very young. He's only 15 years older than me. So a lot of my friends at my wedding were like, oh my God, he's that guy. He's a babe. And I was like, that's gross. That's my bio dad. We kept in touch for a couple of years. But then over the last couple of years, we kind of fallen out of touch. His mom does still message me from time to time, and she keeps me on the loop, so I know that he's well and that he's doing good things. I don't feel like I'm missing out on anything. I don't feel like he's neglecting me or our relationship, because I don't feel like we ever really had a relationship beyond just kind of reconnecting. So I feel like my story was like the best possible scenarios of all scenarios. I had all of my questions answered. I finally felt like I was good enough and I wasn't abandoned. And I'm trying not to cry. I didn't think I was gonna get emotional. It's been like a while since this has all happened. I feel complete. I feel satisfied with the outcome of my adoption and finding my bio dad story. I know there's a lot of people that don't have the same happy outcome. I know a lot of people, either they've passed away by the time they try to find them, or they don't want to be found, or the person they find isn't who they thought or wanted to find. So although I do feel like my bio dad is a flawed human, I also feel that we are all flawed humans, and I feel like he did his best to answer my questions and to make me feel like I was loved, that I am loved by a whole other family out there that I didn't know I had. But like I said, since then I've sort of distanced myself from that side of the family. It's a lot to deal with mentally and emotionally, especially when you've had a family your entire life. The reason my parents told me when they did, I guess they went to a therapist to ask when and if they should tell me, and the therapist told them, wait until she's old enough to have developed a bond with dad, not bio dad, but don't wait so long that she feels lied to. So they say don't wait until after your child has turned 18, because then they feel like their life has been a lie. And I didn't ever feel like that. I definitely felt weird, but I never felt angry or resentful. And I'm very glad that my parents told me at the time they did. And I'm glad that my mom always left the door open to try to find him if I wanted to. And my dad that raised me was mostly supportive. He definitely had his moments of feeling betrayed, which I understand too. But yeah, I think that's it in my adoption story. If you guys have any questions that I haven't answered here, maybe those of you that are trying to find adoptive parents, anything I might be able to answer. The only thing is, because I do have a biological mom, my story is a little bit different than people that came either from orphanages or were adopted when they were babies by new couples that don't have any contact with their parents. I did have a little bit of information to go on from my mom, so that is a little bit different, but I would be happy to answer any questions or help in any way that I can. And if you guys have your own adoption stories to share, please do in the comments below, whether they're happy or whether they are sad. I think it's really important for those that are adopted and searching for parents to really understand the possible repercussions of finding them, because you do hear these happy stories, but they don't all end up happy. So I just want to make sure that that everybody is prepared and braces themselves for the potential fall, because I do think that's important, especially for mental health. So that's it. That's my adoption / ancestry history story. This was kind of a weird mishmash of a video, but I felt like both kind of went together, because the reason I did my adoption story was because of my ancestry post. So I hope that clears it all up for everybody that was asking me about adoption. And yeah, I hope you guys are all well out there and staying safe and staying healthy and staying entertained. I'm doing my best to help. All right, I'll see you guys next time.